Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard, everybody. It seems like we are ready to go. Anyway, folks, welcome aboard AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome aboard Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome aboard E2247 from all over the place. Welcome aboard Brother Patrick Magner from Meow, Houston, Texas. Welcome aboard Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. Welcome aboard Michael Rutnan from Brooklyn. I think I called you out already. Welcome aboard. I'm scrolling. Okay, some of our regulars are not in the chat quite yet. But you know what? I think I think it's incumbent on me. I think I missed it a couple of times to go ahead and start with E2247. And E2247, let's get you read. It's important. U.S. officials are considering whether to join Israel in an offensive strike on Iran, framing them as defensive after the fact that would escalate the crisis by pulling the U.S. into an unauthorized and disastrous war. If Biden does that, he is I won't even call it out. It's beyond me. There should be no U.S. involvement directly in attacking Iran. And in fact, I don't even think Iran should be attacked, but that's for another time. 91 organizations warned U.S. officials last week that there's no legal basis for such a conflict. Now they need to hear from you. War is not inevitable, but the actions we take now are critical. Netanyahu is no friend. Netanyahu is intent on bringing us into a war in the Middle East to save his ass. That's what it's all about. We stand on the cusp of what could be a major catastrophic regional war in the Middle East. Netanyahu's government is planning a major military retaliation to Iran's October 1 reprisal against Israel. Now is the time to act and demand a ceasefire, not more war. Join us for our no war with Iran action. Peace action, work peace since 1957. That is, I guess, the words from that organization. American Friends Service Committee, Quaker Action for Just World. Oh, you're naming the ones that are pushing this out. Thank you, E2247. If not now, movement. American Jews organizing to end U.S. support of Israel's apartheid system, demand equality, justice, and a thriving future for all Palestinians. Will you add your name in support of the joint resolution of disapproval, including SJ Res 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, and 116? I will. To block 20 billion in weapons to the Israeli military. I'll do that when I put that out there again, my friend. Lee Grant says, hey, y'all. Hi, Lee. How are you doing? Let me continue with E2247, and then I'll get to everybody else because I hadn't read the stuff on Israel in a while. E2247 also says, I am writing today to ask if you will support the joint resolution of disapproval introduced by Senator Bernie Sanders and call for an immediate arms embargo with Israel. I'll sign it. Genocide and the widening Middle East war, exceptional discussion of three wars flying between Israel and Iran, Lebanon, and Yemen, no end, Gaza in sight, and U.S. deepening. Do me a favor, E2247, send me that directly to my instant messaging. Please send that directly to my instant messaging because sometimes this stuff gets fouled up and I don't have the time to do that right now. Genocide and the widening Middle East wars, exceptional panel discussion. Please send that. Again, I think that's a dupleta. All right, what else have we got here? Call 202-224-3121. Again, that number, 202-224-3121. Ask for U.S. representative. When the rep's office, be sure, ask for your U.S. representative. Be sure to say your name, that you're a constituent, and the zip code, and go against any war in the Middle East, folks. Let's see. Sample script. Thank you for that. Wow. I tell you what, thank you for that. That is something I probably should write a blog about. Alrighty, 2247. I think you've given me a task. Thank you, E2247, for that. I think you've given me a task. Oh God, I've got so much to do. Anyway, I'll try to get that done today, brother. I'll really try to get that done. Let's see. How did we get that in the email? Okay. I hope I can find all of this after the thing. I tell you what, send me all the pertinent links to my instant message. I need your help here so that I don't have to go hunting, because if I have to go hunting, it's probably not going to get done in as much as it needs to get done. Welcome aboard, my brother Ray from Houston, Texas. Glad you're here with us. Welcome aboard. I think I saw some other people join in the chat. Eric Hayes from Atascocita Kingwood. And all right, now let me go ahead. I think Bridge has something she wants to put on the screen. Let me find what I saw. I think I saw something from Bridge to put on the screen. Oh, you guys work me to death. You know that? But I love you all. But you work me to death. Let me find Bridge's stuff because I want to make sure that we get that. She usually have all these great things to put on the screen. All right, let's go ahead and get that done. Let's put that on the screen from Bridge. And here you go, Sister Bridge. It goes as follows. An English professor wrote the words, "A woman without her man is nothing," on the chalkboard and asked his students to punctuate it correctly. A woman without her man is nothing. All of the males in the class wrote, "A woman without a man is nothing." All the females in the class wrote, "A woman, without her man is nothing." Oh, I got to read it correctly. I tell you what, I screwed it up. So I tell you what, it's how the mind, it's how we've been taught to use our minds. Okay. Let me first clarify. My sexism is out, but the muscle memory on wordiology isn't necessarily so, especially when it's a trick kind of a question. So, Bridge, I'm going to call this a trick question, but here we go. An English professor wrote the words, "A woman without her man is nothing." Okay, and that's how one reads it. A woman without her man is nothing. That's how it reads on the chalkboard and asked his students to punctuate it correctly. All right. All of the males in the class wrote, "A woman, without her man, is nothing." And the women did the punctuation as follows. "A woman, without her, man is nothing." That is powerful. First of all, it's true, but it is powerful that how much punctuation can change the meaning of something. Thank you for that, Bridge. Thank you for that, Bridge. That was a good one. That was a good one. All right, Yvette Avery Hera, did I salute you? I just saw. Yeah, I think I did salute you. All right, let's keep going down here. I'm just going to read one line on the numbers that's important, that tells it all for E2247. Day 370 of the war, that's over a year. At least 42,065 Gazans killed, 570 persons more than day 355. At least 97,886 wounded, 1,880 persons more than day 355. 139,951 casualties. That's a shame. It's criminal. It is genocide. And it is not genocide because of the number. It's genocide because of how that number occurred. All right. Michael Delan says, "I would have put 2 questions mark at the end of that sentence. A woman without a man is nothing." This sentence is a blunder. A woman without... Okay, but wait a minute. It is not a, but her, Michael. It's her, not a. And I found that the way that, I just found the punctuation thing ingenious. That is ingenious. All right, let's see. Contradicts media portrayal of disinformation. Ex-military lead-in volunteers helping get food, etc. Mandators with private helicopters. I don't know what you're talking about, Eric. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm scrolling down. I found not a problem at all with the 60 Minutes interview. And by the way, for full transparency, 60 Minutes put the whole damn thing, and it's been on the whole damn thing on their website. And the only reason you guys are making an issue out of it is because you found it on their website. Had they not put it on the website, you would have known absolutely nothing. That what they wanted to do is give what the true picture was, and that's exactly what the 60-minute thing did. Uh-oh, you guys are barking up the wrong tree. Brother J. Ray say, less than 30 days from the election, Rust Belt swing states already counting early votes. Let me just tell you this. Be careful with what they're trying to do in the swing states. They want to kind of make believe like, oh, Trump knows that he's got the swing states. Forget it, baby. Everybody in those swing states, well, if you're in Michigan, if you're in Wisconsin, if you're in Pennsylvania, go out there and vote en masse. And I mean, if you are in Detroit, if you're in Detroit, if you are in where we actually told Hillary she needed to do some work in Detroit, if you are in Wisconsin, what's the name, Milwaukee, you got to go out there. We need overperformance in Milwaukee. We need overperformance in Detroit. And likewise, we need overperformance, I was going to say Philadelphia, but also Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas. We need it. And right now, what Walz is doing is sort of minimizing the defeat in the rural areas. And I think Liz Cheney will help with that as well. Because again, I have two videos to show you today. The one about the new Lincoln project ad, it's steering. And of course, I had to give my 8-minute narrative on that. So I'm going to play that. I think I'm going to start I'm going to start with Biden. Then I'll do that one. All right, let's see. Paul Fleming says meteorologists are getting death threats as hurricane conspiracy theorists thrive. It's amazing. I mean, when you look at the lack of intellect that these guys are pushing on the right, and then convincing these people that are gullible to believe it. And I'm not specifying anybody, brother Zarnik. I'm just calling it out as far as misinformation. And we got to do that. We can't make folks who create these tales feel like, all right, somehow the Biden administration seeded the clouds with silver iodide to create the crystals that create rain, turn it into a hurricane, directed it into Florida so that it'll take a path up to the red areas of Georgia, the red areas of South Carolina, the red areas of Tennessee and North Carolina. Wow. If we had that control, we could go ahead and fill up the Colorado, the Lake Mead, right? Which is in dire straits for water right now. We could actually get Lake Mead filled up. Look it up. Lake Mead is in trouble. All right. Paul Fleming says, all this talk of weather manipulation has reminded me of why I essentially gave up on trying to reason with people a few years. There is a psychological phenomenon called belief perseverance, or the backfire effect. By attempting to reason with persons who did not arrive at their conclusion reasonably, we're usually just causing them to dig their heels in deeper and come up with even more elaborate defenses for ideas that would have gotten them heckled out of the room 30 years ago. And there's something about that. Maybe sometime, and I think there's something to that, Brother Fleming. And maybe what needs to be done in that regards is to laugh it off for real. I saw that done. If the thing that was most piercing to Trump in that defeat in the debate that he had was when he said dogs, and they're eating dogs and cats. And Kamala looked into the camera and she just laughed. And then he got even more pissed off. This woman of that kind laughed at me. She laughed at me because his face is made up. And she's like, ha, 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 because it shows a stupidity. The same laughter we should give for the weather, the people who are talking about moving the weather and all that kind of stuff as well. So I agree with you, Paul Fleming. I agree with you. Now, there's a balance, right? Because there are some people that are legitimately misinformed, and they came to the conclusion based on the resources that they trust. One of the things is, how do you break that trust with their resources other than constantly showing how their resources have misled them? But we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. All right, Michael Radin says that, what do you need conspiracy for weather and climate? We are burning fossil fuels, treating the atmosphere as an open sewer, the excess carbon accumulating in air and oceans, warming both and warmer oceans fuel stronger storm. And it's not only warmer oceans, it's carbonic oceans, which means acidic oceans, which means the change in chemistry, which means the change in fauna and flora, right? Got to be careful of all of that, man. Paul Fleming says, man without woman and women without man is a dead species, so please stop it. Yeah, they both need each other, but right now we are, my dear brother Paul Fleming, centralizing on women, given what again? Given what we as men have put women through over these years, not realizing that reality, that yes, in fact, we could not make it without women. A man without a woman, we know that men have been controlling everything thus far. So nope, I am not going to even get there. I want us to stay where we are. We need women. We need women. We need women. Welcome aboard, Louis Sumtrell. 2.5% is an insult for the increase in life. I mean, actually, let me point this out. Social Security, when when the inflation rate was 8.9%, Social Security did give a 9% increase in the rates. Inflation is really 2.5%, and that's why Social Security has gone up by 2.5%. There are two different discussions here, Louis Sumrell. 2% is the right amount of COLA, cost of living increase, right? For the cost of living, what does this A stand for? COLA, advanced increase, I mean, whatever it is, COLA. The 2.5 is correct for making the amount of money you get by the same amount of stuff. Just like when you got a 9% increase. So the person making $1,200, they got $100 and something more when inflation was high to cover that cost. My contention is we have to expand Social Security, not from these theoretical numbers these numbers that they give you. What we should be doing is making Social Security have a baseline of a living wage. That's what we need to fight for. Not that we get the COLA. The COLA would be automatic after we get a what again? After we get a Social Security that gives us a living wage, and we can afford that. Welcome aboard, Jay. Jay said, if we could manipulate the weather, Democrats would put all forest fires out with no flooding. And as you said, lakes like Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the U.S. rivers, ocean currents, we'll do all of that. You're right. But no, we can't control the weather at all. All right, most of the times when people I love come to me, they don't ask me a question. They make a statement as if it is fact. Then I have to walk them through a common sense process. Then I find out that common sense isn't so common. A lot of times that's true. Cost of living adjustment. Thank you so kindly, Bridge, for looking at. I got the best audience in the world, man. Thank you, Bridge. All right. Did anyone see the AI-generated image of 45 retreat wannabe 47, the Felonia standing in knee-deep water in his suit, distributing paper towels to hurricane? I didn't see it, but I heard about it. The average size of global wildlife population has declined by 73% in 50 years. A new study by the Wildlife Foundation has found. Doesn't surprise me at all. I think Bridge might be correct. I think Bridge is always correct. I don't think I've seen Bridge not correct on this program yet, even when she slapped me around. Right, Bridge? Come on, Bridge, be nice. Don't be too hard on me, Bridge. You hear me, Bridge? As we would say, you hear? Anyway, folks. Let's see what else we got here. Then I'm going to the video. Patrick says, I'm calling at the end to support Bridge. Actually, why don't you call before I do the video? Call before I do the video. Bridge MCP, Patrick Magnus says, why? Quit hunting the wildlife. All right, I'm going to play the video after I get that call from our brother, Patrick. So come on in, Patrick. I want to hear what you got to say. And anybody can call us as well. 281-823-7747 is the number. I repeat, that number is 281-823-7747. So if I get a call within the next 30 seconds from brother Patrick, I'll hold off the video so that we can have him talk to Bridge MCP, and then we'll continue with the video. Very important video. Very important video. All right. Since he hasn't called yet, I will go ahead and play the video right this minute. Let's see. Go. Here comes the video. Bingo. I saw President Biden do something today that you normally don't see presidents do, and I can't tell you how ecstatic I was. I'm going to play it right away. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Mr. President, have you spoken with former President Trump at all?
Are you kidding me?
Information?
Mr. President Trump, former President Trump, get a life, man. Help these people.
Will you hold him accountable? You said you were going to hold those accountable.
Public will hold them accountable. You better than the press hold them accountable because you know the truth.
Do you plan to speak with former President Trump?
No.
This is something that the president should do all of the time. Hey, press, you know that Donald Trump is a liar. You know that the things he talks about should get no traction. But you go ahead and you listen to Donald Trump and you put it out there. And then you say, hey, Mr. President, what do you have as a response to what Donald Trump has to say? The response should be immediate. If Donald Trump says aliens, or rather undocumented workers are eating cats and dogs, you should say, Mr. President, Mr. Former President, stop lying. If Donald Trump goes ahead and says FEMA is not doing its job, you don't come and ask the president what it is. You know the truth. You know the answer. Why aren't you doing your job? Playing a false he said, she said? That's not what the fourth estate is supposed to do. The fourth estate is there to provide the truth to the American people. That's what the mainstream media is supposed to do. So when the president says, first of all, Mr. President, are you going to talk to Donald Trump? No. But here's what I'm going to tell Donald Trump that you guys should be telling him. Make yourself useful and help people and stop hurting them. The second thing you should do is you should say, well, you're lying, Mr. Trump. You're absolutely lying. Let me tell you how dangerous what Trump is doing, specific to the pandemic right now. I mean, not the pandemic, specific to the hurricanes right now. He is actually trying to have many Americans lose faith in their government. And in the process of losing faith in their government, what that allows to happen is for charlatans to come in. What are charlatanes? Those people that are going to come in and drive through as independents and say, hey, you know, the government is not going to really do anything for you. They're not going to help you. I'll help you at a reasonable cost. Sign here. That roof that you need fixed, I'll fix it for you. By the way, just give me a small down payment. The government's not going to help you. We are going to help you. Give me just some money for your down payment. What Donald Trump is doing in his attempt to give not only a bad name to the president and the vice president to attempt to win an election, but also to lay the foundation to scam people. And it has already happened. We've had Representative Florida Rep, the young guy, young Representative Maxwell Frost, who already has to give press conference to say, disregard these guys that are telling you not to mess with the government. These are thugs. These are thieves. We could also just have a new word for thugs and thieves. We could just say, these are Trump. Because again, people, these things have consequences. They have consequences. What Donald Trump is doing, you may think, oh, let Trump be Trump. Trump being Trump, and for those who follow Trump, will get hurt. Their loss of faith in the government because of Trump will cause those bottom feeders to come in and take advantage. And I know many of you would say, well, they deserve it. Nobody deserved this in their times of pain. I mean, anybody can get mentally ill and follow somebody like Trump. Many people forget their morals and follow people like Trump. But you know what? These people that have forgotten their morals also have children. We have to be there for their children as well. Because when a Trump voter pulls down and feel proud to be a Trump voter, their kids are looking at them and saying, my daddy voted for a man who would rape me. My daddy voted for a man who would steal the birthright of his children. My daddy voted for a man that is a scam artist. My daddy voted for a man or I should say, my daddy or mommy, doesn't matter which one, my daddy or mommy, voted for a man who's a scam artist who would hurt other people. There is a lot of repair that's going to be necessary after this is all over, my brothers and sisters. So what Biden did there was a great thing. He called out the media and he said, you all know the truth. Why don't you speak the truth? You don't have to come to me and ask me if Donald Trump is telling the truth. You know the truth. You don't have to ask me if the immigrant nations in Smith, Ohio, are eating cats and dogs. You know the answer. You've researched the answer. Don't give these lies from Donald Trump and his ilk the platform to grow. Because I tell you what, the mere fact you guys platform Donald Trump lies and allow it to spread within his own community, and I'm not only talking about mainstream media, I'm talking about right-wing media, though they really don't care. But it is your job to do the right thing. So, folks, first of all, I want to commend Biden. I guess Biden feel a new freedom that he doesn't have to feel he has to appease the media. So they'll hate him even worse now for calling them out. But what does he have to lose? Kamala Harris, they already are not the friends of Kamala because they're doing the same thing with Kamala, right? So, President Biden, and by the way, Kamala, thank you for actually putting more of the efforts into the media sources people are listening to, whether they be blog posts, blogs, podcasts, etc. Because again, these guys that are supposed to be responsible and telling the truth, except for those like Lawrence O'Donnell and Ali Velshi and others that really are out there bending the rules and telling the truth. Imagine I just said that, bending the rules to tell the truth. They're out there. And of course, you also have politics done right. Anyway, let's get busy. Absolutely, let's get busy, folks. Absolutely, let's get busy. Okay, I don't know. Let's see. Patrick was trying to call earlier. I couldn't answer two different channels at the same time. So why don't you go ahead and give me a call now? I wonder if Patrick is a bit behind maybe on the video. Why? He called, but you can go ahead and call right now. I'll wait for your call till I get the video. Melanie Keelan is in the house. Did I see Melanie Keelan? Welcome aboard, Melanie Keelan. Egberto, what's the rule being bent? Don't blame the corporations that are funding our networks. Yes, I do blame the corporations that are funding our networks. Shouldn't we? I think we should. I absolutely think we should blame the corporation that are doing the networks. Hey, Charlie Lindahl is in the house. Charlie is from Houston, Texas as well. Well, the Houston metropolitan area, I should say. What else have we got here? Melanie Keelan is in the house. New person came on into the house. Hey, Patrick, give me a call now before I start the other video. Give me a call now before I start the other video. Let's see what else I need to read here. Michael Ruddin says, FIS, 6 decades of plankton decline sparks call to protect the foundation of marine food web across the open oceans of the Northeast Atlantic, where temperatures have increased gradually during the past 6 decades. Most of the life forms assessed showed a decrease in abundance. Dinoflagellates, an important type of phytoplankton, have decreased by around 5% for decades since 1960, while the quantities of haloplankton, plankton that spend their entire life in the water, fell by 7% for decade. What's interesting about that, that what we see is that there are certain whales and so forth that depend on that food, and we know what's going to happen then. All right, Vri says, Egberto, very sad about my sister. She's posting all her pics as she had gone to Rump's rally in Scranton, PA, her first rally not far from me. Makes me sick. She is MAGA. We hardly speak as her Christian white cult. She tells me, love you, but you're going to hell because you're gay. Again, remember, that's not her. That's her disease. That's her disease. That's not your sister's right mind. That's her disease. All you can do is love on her. That's all you can do. And that's what not only all you can do, that's what you should do. Hey, Patrick, you must be behind in the video, not hearing me to say, give a call now. I'm going to keep answering a few more questions, hoping you'll catch up and hear me say, hey, buddy, Patrick, give me a call now, because I want to get to the video and I don't want what happened again to happen. So let me see if you read in your chat, because I'll tell you in the chat, call now. Okay. All right, folks, let's continue reading from our thing. So anyway, Bridge, your sister being a MAGA is your sister. It's your relative. Keep the love flowing. And I mean that from the depths of my heart. I'm telling you, you don't give up. If you were married to somebody and that person got sick and they started spewing out all kind of crazy things, you would not let them go. And that's how you deal with what's happening with your sister now. Please, please, please. It's difficult, but when you're taking care of a sick person, it is difficult. I love my daughter to death, but it was very difficult when I had to care for her as she was recovering from her stroke. It was just me and her. And I mean, there are many times she didn't see me cry because I know what my daughter was, how active she was before, and how that was going to diminish her activity. And the great thing about it now is if you see her now, you see her coming back, you see her working out. When you have a sick relative, remember, love is what it's all about. I don't say that to be weird, or I don't say that to be, I really mean that. And by the way, I just want to say that I learned that myself over the years, because I would not have been able to deal with my relatives that are MAGA. Okay, I would not be able to do that unless I created that frame where I could say, you know what? I know who that person really is. And I know that person was changed by those externalities. I understand those externalities change that person. All right, I tried my best to wait for Patrick. I think we need to go because of time constraints. We need to go to the second video. And this one, I want you guys to pay strict attention to this one. Very strict attention to this one. The Lincoln Project has a new ad out. It is powerful. Yes, it's about a woman's rights to her own body. Yes, it's about abortion. Yes, it's about life. But it ties it all together, and it ends in a manner that we talk a lot about here on Politics Done Right. Patrick, the Lincoln Project has a new ad out. Okay, go ahead. Look, I stopped the video. Hey. Were you behind or something?
When I went to make those phone calls a couple of times, my YouTube pauses. I guess I should probably get on Twitch or something. But
no, it's okay. We know what's going on now. In other words, whenever we are real time, so you know what I'm saying. Anyway, talk to me. You said you needed to tell British MCP something.
I just wanted to support her. Yesterday, I saw some things back and forth in the chat where men were trying to say they don't need women, and that women didn't need men. One of the things that has helped me understand the world a lot is genetic biology. I like Richard Dawkins a lot, and I read a lot of his Spears books. Did you know that quite a few men in the population are colorblind, but women are not?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, it is. There's an interesting reason. Women were the gatherers, and if a woman went out and picked a red berry, it would probably kill the family and themselves. Men didn't pick things. Men did the hard work, the risky stuff, trying to kill animals, while women worked as a group in tribal living, raising children, teaching everybody, feeding everybody, gathering things, clothing people. So if a man didn't have a woman that could distinguish red from another color, which is where most of the more poisonous berries are, would kill their family. So men from the get-go have needed women, and women have needed men. And we need to not think that we can get away from that need, that coexistence. And we have been since the 80s. What I saw a lot, what I think I saw a lot with Trump was that the more masculine, the less thoughtful side of men came back out again, where they're trying to push women back into the kitchen and have compulsory pregnancies, and the men can treat the women however they like. It doesn't work, and there was a reason why we got away from it. And I think that they're kind of pushing the compulsory pregnancy, taking away abortion rights and things, because men have made themselves so difficult on women now. Women don't want to have anything to do with it, and I don't think that's a good thing either. But
it's a bad thing.
Men
I want to interrupt you. I want to interrupt you.
Yeah,
ask you something. I want to ask you something because I'm not privy to or I don't know the reading. Now you mentioned about what's happening to women, but I mean, for the longest time in a lot of recorded history, not all of recorded histories, we have societies in Africa that were controlled by women. And I think the African Queen or something like that was a movie that taught us things that we hadn't known about women being in control, or women being the leaders or co-leaders or whatever. But in a particular society, it has been developed, or what has developed is a patriarchy where somehow men became the dominant figure. And even if we look at the way the Bible was written and the Quran was written and these other books, man was the dominant entity, which I don't know. And again, I'm not educated enough in the subject to know. From what you know, where came the point where man became the dominant as far as power in the political power structure? And the political power structure, I even mean in the home and elsewhere.
I wish you could see my smile, because that is a fantastic question, and I'm very glad you asked. Do you understand that marriage for love is only about 1,000 years old?
Ah, okay. No, I don't.
There was no marriage. There was no marriage. It's not mentioned in the Bible.
Okay.
Because the marriage first came about I think 4,000 to 8,000 years ago, and all it was is a tool to pass wealth from one generation to the next, which isn't it. If you turn that coin over, it's a way to keep wealth away from the commons. Marriage was a tool that was used to pass wealth from generation to generation, which meant you kept wealth from other people. And so the first marriages weren't even about love. So where the paradigm of men and women, the fact that there wasn't a marriage was you probably didn't even know in tribal living who you got pregnant, and everybody raised those children together. And in that living, if you didn't treat a woman right, she just simply wouldn't sleep with you.
Right.
There are going to be cases where rape did happen, and rape unfortunately is a part of our evolution. But thank goodness we've matured and gotten away from it. But in tribal living, you probably slept with more than one woman, and you probably didn't know which one you got pregnant, and it didn't matter because everybody was pitching in. Everybody was raising those children together. Everybody hunted together. Everybody gathered together. Everybody constructed clothes together. And women made choices like when to have an abortifacient, when to they know in North America that there were chemicals and plants that they used to short-term sterilize younger women, and then they had abortifactants. So the women decided when they were going to get pregnant, not the men. And that was tribal living before marriage. Marriage did most of this to us. And what marriage was a tool to keep wealth in a family. Everything about it's selfish. And everything about it took us away from.
Let me tell you, there's so much of that if you tie that into land ownership and all of that makes sense, right? Because the fact that somebody can own a piece of land when human beings go through life, death, and eventually, theoretically speaking, one would run out of land to have. That makes a whole lot of sense. Now, let me tell you this. I need to go to my video now, but already some people are starting to say things like misinformation. So what I'm going to ask you do something for me all of the times, Patrick, is that some of the readings that you do or the information that you have, you normally email me links or whatever. I'm going to ask you to do the same, to send me a body of email links of things to better educate myself as well. So thank you for that, brother. I got to go to some video. Anything else before I...
Yeah, I just want to leave you with this. In the past several decades in the United States, especially, we become more and more depressed. And you can also go back and you can look. We have fewer and fewer friends, myself included, because capitalism is trying to get us to live independently of each other, and this is causing a lot of problems. And I'll leave it with that.
All right, thank you, buddy. All right, let's see. Bridge MCP is on the line. I have to go to my video, but Bridge came on the line. Talk to me, sis.
I'm sorry. I just wanted him to finish because he was so right on. Thank you, Patrick. He is so right on what he's saying. I just want to address a couple of things, and I'll let you go to the video. I won't let you. I mean, you can go anytime you want. And the women were the main person in the society. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know. And the women were the main. They actually ran the tribes and the families, and he was right about everything he said. The question that you asked was, when did it happen? And that answer from all of my studies in college and whatever was that I forget what period it was, but when the tribes started to settle, and they were still hunters and gatherers, but they settled. And men went out and did what they did, and then they did the farming thing, and then women stayed home. In the home, went and did their thing, and they became towns and villages, and men went to their little meeting place, all the men, women stayed home, and the men started making decisions. And that was the point when women became what everything Patrick was saying. That's when that happened. When women became a second part of that.
I was just educated.
There's one more thing.
Yes.
I'm sorry. There's one more thing. You spoke about the wealth of the man and the marriage and stuff. That's exactly true what he was saying about ownership. That's why Catholic priests no longer marry, because women would get the land from them so that they couldn't marry women. They had to not do that anymore. Otherwise, if the priest died, then the woman would get the property. So priests were no longer allowed to be married. That's when that came in too. So those are just 2 points I wanted to make.
Thank you very much, sis. All right, we're going to the video. This one is important. And thank you, Bridge. You're great. And don't forget, folks, send me that information. And look, about Social Security, I may just do a second segment about the Social Security a little bit further. But let's go ahead and do the video and go on from there. The Lincoln Project has a new ad out. It is powerful. Yes, it's about a woman's rights to her own body. Yes, it's about abortion. Yes, it's about life. But it ties it all together, and it ends in a manner that we talk a lot about here on Politics Done Right. For those who vote for Donald Trump, how do they ... Let you listen to this ad, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it on the other side. Check this out. It is powerful.
Blood pressure dropping, or at 80/50. Finger clamp, or at 80/50.
It didn't need to end this way, Dad. You were so excited to be a grandfather. When you walked me down the aisle, those were happy tears. College, high school, sports. I could always count on you. You were my protector, my hero. You always made me feel safe, loved, like I was the most important person in the world. But it turned out he was more important.
The fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying.
Each one of those abortion bans includes strict legal rules that are designed to be impossible to comply with. How does a mother who is dying in a hospital bed get to a courthouse to prove to a judge that she's dying?
You will no longer be thinking about abortion.
You knew what he'd do. You knew his politics would end my freedom, my rights. My life. You chose hate over me.
Yesterday, we spoke about not only yesterday, but episode after episode, we talk about the people who decide to vote for Trump no matter what. And before we go into the video and how the video is put in, or rather, how Donald Trump, as expressed in the video, is putting the life of your loved ones at risk, not only about women's reproductive rights, but through a whole lot of other issues. But look, one has to ask the question. Let's forget about policy for a bit. We know what we are attempting, or what some are attempting to put into office. It is, I cannot say it more so, I must say it ad nauseum. One, a person who many women have accused of raping them or assaulting them, but he has been convicted from one particular one who decided to come forth and bring all the evidence. And in as much as the statute of limitation has expired, civilly, they found him liable for sexual assault. We see and we hear in his own words what he thinks about women, that he can grab onto a woman by her private parts and she's just got to like it. She's going to like it because he's a powerful guy, because he's a star, because he's a celebrity. That's how he thinks about those men who are voting for her, women who are voting for her. That's how he thinks about your wife, your daughter, your aunt. He specifically goes ahead and says, I am going to bring Supreme Court judges in that will destroy Roe v. Wade. And now your kid will be under the jurisdiction of the state, many of them right-wing states that will take your daughter's rights away. And he got the judges in. And not only did he get the judges in, but immediately thereafter, the red states did what they do best: restrict women's rights, restrict health care. But it goes beyond that, because he also gave the impetus to call what a woman does with her own body a crime, punishable. You have the video showing that he says, yes, the woman must be punished. Yes, the doctors must be punished. This is from the person, the authoritarian that many of you are thinking about putting back into office. Not to speak of, he loses a case where he creates this false Trump university that ain't no university, cons people out of thousands of dollars, and ended up having to pay them back for scamming them, the person you want to put into that presidency. Then, of course, there is the charity that he created and then used the money that he created out of this charity for personal use. Let's not forget all the monies he collected during different events, claiming it was for those who are working for the cause. Nobody ever saw a penny. Don't forget that this is a guy who, when many people came off to work for him at his different properties, he stiffed them and went and dared them to sue him because he knew he could keep them in court longer than likely many of them would live. Think about the guy who always attack immigrant labor, attack those folks that are trying to make a life coming over the border. But yet at his resorts, he hires them. He hires them and they are an integral part or were integral parts of his staff. Many of them undocumented. But that's the person you're going to put in charge because you want control over the border. You want control over a woman's body. And you claim because you like the economy as it was under him. Not to speak about that the drop in the economy is a direct result of his mismanagement of the COVID pandemic. Had he not tried to make $1 out of the COVID pandemic or have the COVID pandemic disappear, it would not have spread worse in the United States, a first world country. It exploded more so than in my country, Panama, that they like to call third world country, didn't have the percentage of deaths that we had here in the United States. Many third world countries across the world, they followed the rules. They wore the mask when they didn't have vaccines. And even after the vaccines came to the first world, the Western world, many of these countries didn't have vaccines. And still, the death rates weren't the death rates that we had here in the United States because we had people who decided they would follow the rule. But because the leaders of those countries honored the rules, while Donald Trump and his ilk made fun of the rules, made fun of what would have stopped the transmission, made fun of science, which exacerbated the pandemic, which caused all kinds of economic issues that ultimately led to inflation, unemployment, etc., that then the Biden administration brought in, fixed it, and in the process had to make a lot of important choices that built the economy better so than any other Western economy. But you want to reward the person who destroyed the economy in the first place by believing the false numbers that he gave about how great employment was. It wasn't. Carter had Jimmy Carter's employment way exceeded Donald Trump's employment as a first-term president. So let's be clear here. Jimmy Carter's GDP exceeded Donald Trump's GDP. So let's get real, folks. Let's be very, very clear. Those who claim they're voting for Donald Trump for economic reasons, they choose to lie to themselves to vote for him. I don't know what the real reasons are, but we can assume. Those who vote for him because of abortion and because they believe in the sanctity of life, I don't know what they're talking about because, again, in the states that have trimmed on abortion and a woman's rights, those are the states where more people died. Not only the women, but even the women who bring the babies who these women bring to term. So the sanctity of life, the rationale being used to put a thuggish criminal who's been convicted of ripping off the states by not paying his taxes and by overvaluing his properties, which is a form of theft. That's who some would want to reward for the presidency. Only in America, only a privileged person that you have given that privilege, that you have anointed with that privilege, could somehow still be in a neck and neck race to be president of the United States with someone that's orders of magnitude more competent, that is orders of magnitude more intelligent, that can speak much more in a cogent manner than this person. And you want to say this isn't a country where some have privilege. This isn't a country where some can get away with what others can't. That really this is a meritocracy based on equity. We better look in the mirror. And if we look in the mirror, we likely not see someone that we would want our kids to look up to. If the vote that we make is for someone that follows the characteristics I've just described. And think about how can you look your kids, your children, your parents, your wife, your mother in the eyes and say, that was the best person for the job. That's why I picked that person to be the standard bearer of the United States of America. Vote for Donald Trump is not only immoral, it's an unpatriotic deed and likely the last real unpatriotic deal you'd be allowed to make. Absolutely so. A vote for Donald Trump is an immoral act and act against the people you claim to love. I mean, I still, it just behooved me sometimes the thought process that goes through. But Bridge, as I said, the reason I can continue to still work with everybody is just love, man. Love and understanding that it's a sick mind that will allow somebody like a Donald Trump to say become the leader of the world, even as we know all that the guy represents. But again, so that's where we're at. Anyway, folks, we are at the last minute of the show. I need to ask folks who are listening to the show to please support us however you can. Their all-encompassing way to support this program is to go to our support page, which is at politicsdoneright.com. Oh, Bridge, thank you so kindly. Great show today. Thanks, my dear beautiful, for that super chat. Bridge MCP just gave us a wonderful super chat. Look, there are a lot of ways to support the program. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support to support the program. But there's a consistent way to support us that we are really trying to strive for. We're trying to get several hundred more permanent, or what we call paid subscribers, not permanent, paid subscribers of our newsletter. So please subscribe to our newsletter. Please become a paid subscriber. Become a paid subscriber of our newsletter to support. Let me write it down. To support our work at politics done right here, and I'm going to paste that link in there. So please, folks, if you can, please go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to support this program. There's a whole lot of work, I promise you, going to here 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anyone who knows me personally will tell you the dedication that we make for this program. Not only the program here at right here live every day at 3 p.m. Central, but every morning at 6 a.m. we do this program as well. Another version of this program at 6 a.m. on the radio, KPFT 90.1 FM Houston, a Pacifica Network station that is heard all over the country, as well as the books that we write. And I should put that on the screen. And, you can get the books that I write at politicsdoneright.com/books. And here are all of my books, all of the books that you see there. If you go ahead and buy it from our website, you can, I'll send you a signed copy, but you can also always get them at Amazon, politicsdoneright.com/books. But please support the program. The best way to support the program right now is to simply become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. And I've just placed that in there in the link again. So look, folks, thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly for supporting the show. Right, the mugs and the hats. You can also do that. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/store to get our mugs and hats. And I got a 30 seconds that I can show you guys what it looks like. Let me do that. Bidis, thank you I love you, Bidis. You always remind me to put these things up. If you go to politicsdoneright.com/stores, you can get any one of these items that you have here: T-shirts, mugs, all the stuff that supports our program, and that you can let people know that you are here supporting our program. Politics Done Right, that's at politicsdoneright.com/store. But again, support us as well. Our newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. Love you all. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. It's Politics Done Right. You guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.